Hi, and welcome to episode 6 of Books with Goats. We are still finishing up the book Wonder. There goes our sign. It's going to get eaten by a goat. And we are on page 261, and it is called Be Kind to Nature. I'm going to hide the bookmark today because they'll eat it. They keep trying to eat it, and so now it's hidden. Hopefully I'll find it. Stay tuned for the end of the video for a big announcement. All right, here we go. Oh, it starts out. An announcement came over the huge speakers next to the stadium lights. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the 23rd annual Big Movie Night at Broarwood Nature Reserve. Welcome teachers and students from MS 342, the William Heath School. A big cheer went up on the left side of the field. Welcome teachers and students from Glover Academy. Another cheer went up, this time from the right side of the field. And welcome teachers and students from the Beecher Prep School. Our whole group cheered as loudly as we could. We're thrilled to have you as our guests here tonight, and thrilled that the weather is cooperating. In fact, can you believe what a beautiful night this is? Again, everyone whooped and hollered. So, as we prepared in the movie, we do ask that you take a few moments to listen to this important announcement. The Broarwood Nature Reserve, as you know, is dedicated to preserving our natural resources and the environment. We ask that you leave no litter behind. Clean up after yourselves. Be kind to nature and it will be kind to you. We ask that you keep that in mind as you walk around the grounds. Do not venture beyond the orange cones at the edge of the fairgrounds. Do not go to the cornfields or into the woods. Please keep the free roaming to a minimum. Even if you don't feel like watching the movie, your fellow students may feel otherwise, so please be courteous. No talking, no playing music, no running around. The restrooms are located on the other side of the concession stands. After the movie is over, it will be quiet and dark, so we ask that you all stay with your schools as you make your way back to your buses. Teachers, there's usually at least one lost party on big movie nights at Broarwood. Don't let this happen to you. Tonight's movie presentation will be The Sound of Music. I immediately started clapping, even though I'd seen it a few times before, because it was Via's favorite movie of all time. But I was surprised that a whole bunch of kids, not from Beecher, booed and hissed and laughed. Somebody from the right side of the field even threw a soda can at the screen, which seemed to surprise Mr. Tushman. I saw him stand up and look in the direction of the can thrower, though I knew he couldn't see anything in the dark. The movie started playing right away. The stadium lights dimmed. Maria the nun was standing at the top of the mountain, twirling around and around. It had gotten chilly all of a sudden, so I put on my yellow Montauk hoodie and adjusted the volume on my hearing aids and leaned against my backpack and started watching. The hills are alive. The woods are alive. Somehow, around the boring part where the guy named Rolf, the oldest daughter are singing, "You are 16 going on 17," Jack nudged me. "Dude, I've got to pee," he said. We both got up and kind of hopscotched over the kids who were lying down on their sleeping bags. Summer waved as we passed, and I waved back. There were lots of kids from the other schools walking around by the food trucks, playing the carnival games, or just hanging out. Of course, there was a huge line for the toilets. "Forget this, I'll just find a tree," said Jack. "That's gross, Jack. Let's just wait," I answered. But he headed off to a row of trees at the edge of the field, which was past the orange cones that we were told not to go past. And of course I followed him. And of course we didn't have our flashlights because they're going to eat the sign. I'm going to have to make a new one. I'm going to have my son show me how to add it to the video. I don't know how to do that yet. And of course we didn't have flashlights because we forgot to bring them. It was so dark now we couldn't see 10 steps ahead of us as we walked toward the woods. Luckily, the movie gave us some light. So when we saw a flashlight coming toward us in the woods, we knew immediately that it was Henry Miles and Amos. I guess they hadn't wanted to wait in line to use the toilet either. Miles and Henry were still not talking to Jack. But Amos had let go of the war a while ago, and he nodded hello to us as they passed by. "Be careful of the bears," shouted Henry as he and Miles laughed as they walked by. Amos shook his head at us like, "Don't pay attention to them." Jack and I walked a little further until we were just inside the woods. Then Jack hunted around for the perfect tree and finally did his business, though it felt like he was taking forever. The woods were loud with strange sounds, chirps, and croaks, like a wall of noise coming out of the trees. Then we started hearing loud snaps not far from us, almost like a cap gun pops, that definitely weren't insect noises. And far away, like in another world, we could hear raindrops on roses and whiskers on kittens. Ah, that's much better, said Jack, zipping up. Now I have to pee, I said, which I did on the nearest tree. No way I was going farther in like Jack did. Do you smell that? Like firecrackers? He said, coming over to me. Oh, yeah, that's what that is, I answered, zipping up. Weird. Let's go. Alien. We headed back the way we came in the direction of the giant screen. That's when we walked straight into a group of kids we didn't know. They'd just come out of the woods doing stuff I'm sure they didn't want their teachers to know about. I could smell the smoke now, the smell of both firecrackers and cigarettes. They pointed a flashlight at us. There were 6 of them, 4 boys and 2 girls. They looked like they were in 7th grade. What school are you from? One of the boys called out. Beecher Prep, Jack started to answer when all of a sudden one of the girls started screaming. Oh my God, she shrieked, holding her hand over her eyes like she was crying. I figured maybe a huge bug had just flown into her face or something. No way, one of the boys cried out, and he started flicking his hand in the air like he'd just touched something hot. And then he covered his mouth. No freaking way, man, no freaking way. All of them started half laughing, half covering their eyes now, pushing each other and cursing loudly. What is that? Said the kid who was pointing the flashlight at us. And it was only then that I realized the flashlight was pointed right in my face. And what they were talking about, screaming about, was me. Let's get out of here, Jack said to me quietly, as he pulled me by the sweatshirt sleeve and started walking away from them. Wait, yelled the guy with the flashlight, cutting us off. He pointed the flashlight right in my face, and now he was only about 5 feet away. Oh man, he said, shaking his head, his mouth open wide. What happened to your face? Stop it, Eddie, said one of the girls. I didn't know we were watching Lord of the Rings tonight, he said. Look, guys, it's Gollum. This made his friends hysterical. Again, we tried to walk away from them, and again the kid named Eddie cuts us off. He was at least a head taller than Jack, who was about a head taller than me, so the guys looked huge to me. No, man, it's Alien, said one of the other kids. No, man, it's an orc, laughed Eddie, pointing the flashlight in my face. This time he was right in front of us. Leave him alone, okay, said Jack, pushing the hand holding the flashlight. Make me, answered Eddie, pointing the flashlight in Jack's face now. What's your problem, dude, said Jack. Your boyfriend's my problem. Jack, let's just go, I said, pulling him by the arm. Oh man, it talks, screamed Eddie, shining the flashlight in my face again. Then one of the other guys threw a firecracker at our feet. Jack tried to push past Eddie, but Eddie shoved his hands into Jack's shoulders and pushed him hard, which made Jack fall backward. Eddie, screamed one of the girls. Look, I said, stepping in front of Jack, holding my hands up like a traffic cop. We're a lot smaller than you guys. Are you talking to me, Freddy Krueger? I don't think you want to mess with me, you ugly freak, said Eddie. And this time was the point where I knew I should run away as fast as I could. But Jack was still on the ground, and I wasn't about to leave him. Yo, dude, said a new voice behind us. What's up, man? Eddie spun around and pointed his flashlight toward the voice. For a second, I couldn't believe it, who it was. Leave them alone, dude, said Amos, with Miles and Henry right behind him. Says who? Said one of the guys with Eddie. Just leave them alone, dude, Amos repeated calmly. Are you a freak too? Said Eddie. They're all a bunch of freaks, said one of his friends. Amos didn't answer, but he looked at us. Come on, guys, let's go. Mr. Tushman's waiting for us. I knew that was a lie, but I helped Jack get up, and we started walking over to Amos. Then, out of the blue, the Eddie guy grabbed my hood and as I passed, yanking it really hard, and so I was pulled backwards and fell flat on my back. It was a hard fall, and I hurt my elbow pretty bad on a rock. I couldn't really see what happened afterwards except that Amos rammed into Eddie like a monster truck, and they both fell down on the ground next to me. Everything's got really crazy after that. Someone pulled me up by my sleeve and yelled, "Run!" And someone else screamed, "Get him!" At the same time, and for a few seconds I actually had 2 people pulling the sleeves of my sweatshirt in opposite directions. I heard them both cursing until my sweatshirt ripped, and the first guy yanked me by my arm and started pulling me behind him as we ran, which I did as fast as I could. I could hear footsteps just behind us, chasing us, the voices shouting and the girls screaming, but it was so dark I didn't know whose voices they were, only that everything felt like we were underwater. We were running like crazy, and it was pitch black, and whatever Whenever I started to slow down, the guy pulling me by the arm would yell, "Don't stop." I'll keep going a little bit. I was gonna maybe stop there because the goats all just left, and it's not much books with goats when there's no goats. Voices in the dark. Finally, after what seemed like forever of running, someone yelled, "I think we lost them." "Amos?" "I'm right here," said Amos's voice a few feet behind us. "We can stop," Miles yelled from farther up. "Jack?" I yelled. "Whoa," said Jack, "I'm here." "I can't see a thing." "Are you sure we lost them?" Henry asked, letting go of my arm. That's when I realized he'd been the one who was pulling me as we ran. "Yeah." "Shh, let's listen." We all got super quiet, listening for footsteps in the dark. All we could hear were the crickets and frogs and our own crazy panting. We were out of breath, stomachs hurting, bodies bent over our knees. "We lost them," said Henry. "Whoa, that was intense." "What happened to the flashlight?" I dropped it. "How did you guys know?" said Jack. "We saw them before. They looked like jerks. You just got rammed into him," I said to Amos. "I know, right?" laughed Amos. "Or you just rammed into him," I said to Amos. "I know, right?" laughed Amos. "He didn't even see it coming," said Miles. "He was like, 'Are you a freak too?' And then you were like, 'Bam,'" said Jack. "Bam," said Amos, throwing a fake punch in the air. But after I tackled him, I was like, "Run, Amos, you schmuck! He's 10 times bigger than you." And I got up and started running as fast as I could. We all started laughing. I grabbed Augie and I was like, "Run," said Henry. "I didn't even know it was you pulling," I answered. "That was wild," said Amos, shaking his head. "Totally wild." "Your lip is bleeding, dude." "I got a couple of good punches," answered Amos, wiping his lip. "I think they were 7th graders. They were huge." "Losers," Henry shouted really loudly, but we all shushed him. We listened for a second to make sure no one had heard him. "Where the heck are we?" asked Amos. "I can't even see the screen." "I think we're in the cornfields," answered Henry. "Duh, we're in the cornfields," said Miles, pushing the cornstalk at Henry. "Okay, I know exactly where we are," said Amos. "We have to go back in this direction. It'll take us to the other side of the field." "Yo, dudes," said Jack, hand high in the air. "That was really cool of you guys to come back for us. Really cool. Thanks." "No problem," answered Amos, high-fiving Jack. And then Miles and Henry high-fived him, too. "Yeah, dude, thanks," I said, holding up my palm like Jack just had, though wasn't sure if they'd high-five me, too. Amos looked at me and nodded. "It was cool how you stood your ground, little dude," he said, high-fiving me. "Yeah, Augie," said Miles, high-fiving me, too. "You were like, 'We're littler than you guys.'" I didn't know what else to say. I laughed. "Very cool," said Henry, and high-fived me, too. "Sorry I ripped your sweatshirt." I looked down at my sweatshirt was completely torn down the middle. One sleeve was ripped off, and the other was so stretched out it was hanging down to my knees. "Hey, your elbow's bleeding," said Jack. "Yeah," I shrugged. It was starting to hurt a little. "You okay?" said Jack, seeing my face. I nodded. Suddenly I felt like crying, and I was trying really hard not to do that. "Wait, your hearing aids are gone," said Jack. "What?" I yelled, touching my ears. The hearing aid band was definitely gone. That's why I felt like I was underwater. "Oh no," I said, and that's when I couldn't hold it anymore. Everything that had just happened kind of hit me, and I couldn't help it. I started to cry. Like big crying. What Mom would call the waterworks. I was so embarrassed I hid my face in my arm, but I couldn't stop the tears from coming. The guys were really nice to me, though. They patted me on the back. "You're okay, dude. It's okay," they said. "You're one brave little dude, you know that?" said Amos, putting his arm around my shoulders. And when I kept on crying, he put both arms around me, like my dad would have done, and let me cry. Well, that's all for today. Next time I'm going to have to close the gate so that the goats have to stay for the reading. Maybe they got a little bit scared. That was a little bit more intense of a section. All right. I said at the end that I was going to have a big announcement. So here it is. I just found out that next year I'm going to be transferred to Rose Valley Elementary, and I'm going to be teaching 2nd grade next year. And I'm really sad because I love Beacon Hill and I love all the teachers and the students and the staff and the principals. And it was an amazing year. And I'm also happy because I love 2nd graders and this is way closer to my house than Beacon Hill was. And so I kind of have mixed feelings about it, but I would love to stay in touch. Yeah, keep in touch and take care of yourselves. I hope you're safe and healthy. Thanks.